quorum with Mr. Ernesto, Mr. Tejada, and Mr. Luna, and myself, Mr. Gleason. Our attorney is here, and we also have city manager with us at the table.
For the record, he is the mayor of Floresville on the phone. Mayor, can you hear us? Mayor, can you hear us? Mayor, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll make sure.
Someone's going to need to listen for it because I won't be able to hear if she wants to ask some questions. For the record, Board Member Esquivel is here. Just arrived. Okay. Would everyone rise for invocation? Our Heavenly Father, we ask that you lead us and guide us to make the right decisions, to make things that would be pleasing to you and in the best interest of our community. We ask that you protect our community and give us your love and your grace. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, is there anyone who'd like to speak on citizen comments? I see no one asking for that. Okay, we have no consent agenda. We're here for a special meeting concerning discussion and possible action related to entering into a partnership agreement with the Floresville Peanut Festival Board to provide alcohol service at the 2020 Peanut Festival on and around October the 9th and 10th of 2020. Mr. Guna, I'm going to start with you. Have you found out anything from the nights?
They're not going to do it.
Okay. How are we looking insurance-wise?
I have not been able to get a cold hard quote. I'm still lacking certain information, but ultimately the two that I can tell you that I've already got were between $1,700 and right at $3,000. We're going to have to. That's one of those things that you decide to do it. Yes, I believe we can get insurance. The event liquor liability policy, but it's just a matter of once we do it, I need a date. I need a lot of factors of that to provide for me.
Right. I understand.
Tom, did you, I couldn't hear exactly what you were saying, but you're talking about liability?
Yes, sir. There's the city of Floresville, when we did it last year, the city of Floresville provides through TML kind of a blanket general liability policy that also involves the event center and anything that would occur there. Last year when we did it, we have a citywide general liability policy through TML that would have covered the event, but it's not the best way to do this.
Okay, so in years past, how is the liability issue been handled?
I have no idea, because, in years past, a private party provided the license. It was the, Show Barn Association. I don't know what they did with it.
Yeah, they have always been an additional insert on our policy, 2 years ago.
Okay, so the Peanut Festival provides insurance for beverages and so forth.
That is correct.
I want to say the policy I saw last year was a general acts and occurrences policy that the Peanut Festival has, and it's not one that's specifically tailored to events with alcohol service. There's a risk when you don't have that specific liquor liability policy in place that all sorts of things could happen where theoretically the person holding the event, if exclusion was triggered under the general policy by whatever the interesting fact that occurred, then we could theoretically be on the hook individually. Policy could be used. As a general rule, most of your bars have what's called a liquor liability rider in addition to their general policy. It's my recommendation that we do that. If we do it, we have that in place. But that is generally, especially for short events, it was over $3,000 last year. But that was rushing it. That was getting the underwriting done within like 4 days. I think it's a little cheaper if we don't have quite the time crunch.
Is there any discussion among the board members? I would like to ask the Peanut Festival, what are your plans right now?
As I mentioned at the previous meeting, we're just moving
Can you
forward.
come a little closer? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
You got your
I don't want to get
mask
too
on.
close to. No, as I mentioned at the previous meeting, we are planning as normal, and we will make that announcement after Labor Day. So as far as what we're here for, we're just here to see if y'all would be willing to partner with us in regards to the permit. As far as staffing, all that other stuff, that'll come after once we know if we're able to get a permit.
So I did talk to the beer vendors, Silver Eagle and Glaciers.
Yes.
What they told me is they would not be keeping trucks out here due to the pandemic. They would just do a drop-in delivery. So it would be just a drop-in delivery, just like we do at the event center, so the beer would have to stay out there, and they would have no workers there. They said that's the only thing they can do.
So whatever we buy is going to be delivered, and that's all we're going to get.
Yes, so last year we ordered 520 cases, so all that would be drop delivered there, and we would have to handle it ourselves. They wouldn't be taking it back and forth off the truck like they did last year.
And we're going to be on the hook for the money for that,
Yes,
for all of it.
yes.
Will we not reimburse you guys for all of the alcohol costs? So y'all were not on the hook for any of the alcohol sales. Whatever the total amount was on the invoice, we reimbursed you guys.
So if you look at the sheets I gave you, these are the past two numbers, but on the second sheet, it shows an invoice of what they paid out. It was 520 cases, I believe. We took over 100 cases back with us. They were left over.
So when you billed us for was for 221 cases of Budweiser, Bud Light, Ultra, and Cayman Jack, and then a total of 90 cases of Coors Light and Miller Lite. That's what your invoice said. So
We have-
that's 300 and a little over 320 cases, right under 320. So we were not billed for 500.
Yes, you were not billed for 500, so you were billed for 311 cases.
Correct.
And we took back 209 cases with us to the event center.
And who paid for those cases?
We paid all of it, and they reimbursed us for the cases that they used at the Peanut Festival.
No, but the ones that were left over.
We did.
The event center took that.
So we took that back.
Center.
We took that back and we sold it at our events. Yes.
Okay, so the event center didn't make any money, period.
We didn't make any money that night, but eventually we did get rid of the beer and we made a profit.
Yeah, well, whether you bought it from here or they had it delivered over there from the distributor, it's still the same.
Well, we also paid additional, we paid $2,005.11 on top of reimbursing for
I'm
the.
sorry,
She's saying we paid $2,005.11 on top of the invoicing that we received from Ches.
Oh.
And what Ches is saying is that he actually went and did turn around and resell it at the event center, but the profit was not made until events hit at the event center, so it wasn't right away.
Yeah, so that's what they'll be, they said we can put a 2-week advance order in if they do pin it, but the only thing is, they will not, the beer has to be dropped off and delivered. They did that in June, I believe they said, in Lavernia, I guess they had an event there,
Yes.
and they did the same thing. So whatever is there, you know, we gotta keep it and then transport it ourselves, wherever we're gonna take it afterwards.
Courtney, if we would have it in October, do you have any guess as to what attendance would be like? Because obviously, we won't need 520 cases.
I would imagine the attendance, I'm thinking half. I wouldn't even, I mean, I think that we're kind of in limbo. It just depends on what happens in the next couple of months with school starting, seeing, you know, how the COVID numbers do, what the governor and our city and local officials, kind of what guidance from them. So I really wouldn't know. To throw a stab at it, I'd say 50%.
And the guidelines right now is still 500 people, right?
According to the governor's order, it's 500 people. I believe with the approval of the local mayor and the local judge, the maximum outdoor, even though it is an outdoor event, is 500 from my last time with the governor's order. And then, of course, at the event center, I know you all had the pool games at the event center.
That was well over 1,000.
And it was, and that occupancy is still at 50% for the governor, which is what occupancy we talking about the ballroom chance.
500.
So it's 500 that would be allowed inside, would be the maximum according to what we could do for our occupancy for the ballroom at 50%.
And again, this is all unknown at this point. We really don't know what we're gonna do or what direction we're gonna go. We are just here to see if y'all would be willing to partner with us with the permit. You know, ideally, it would be great if we could solidify a multi-year agreement to where we come up with an agreement that we know every year we can count on you guys to help us with the permit. I know right now it's very uncertain to be able to agree to something like that. So I think at this point, we're just trying to see what we can do with the permit, whether the festival is in October or we do something later at another date. But for next year's festival, we would of course have to come back to you guys for the same request if we do not solidify a multi-year agreement. So it's pretty much just a proposal, what y'all would think would be fair, and of course covering those additional expenses like Henrietta mentioned at the last meeting. There was some overtime incurred that we were not billed for, and we would gladly be able to pay for that, whatever expenses are incurred. You know, we are not here to have y'all not get reimbursed for expenses on our end. We have to make sure that this is fair.
If I may, Chairman Gleason, I think the only concern I would say would be the delivery. I mean, because we wouldn't have it cold on the truck. If we have 200 cases or 500 cases, that's a lot of beer. They were going to have exposed. I mean, we're going to have to come up with a bigger plan of what we're going to do with these cases.
We could rent a refrigerated truck. We could get pricing on that, and if that's something the association has to do, we can definitely do that because there are refrigerated truck rentals out there so that we can keep the beer cold, and it's the same situation as we had before. Now, where we're going to lack is definitely the taking the cases on and off the truck. But again, if that's something that we need to help you out with, Ches, to get people to, you know, have shifts that they're helping you to make sure that that gets done, and to try and take the workload off of you so that you do not have to do as much as you did last year, since that was our very first year.
And who's going to be handling the beer sales?
At this point, we're just here for the permit. I'm now receiving information firsthand that the Knights will not be doing it. We did get a couple of phone calls from some nonprofits that are very interested. So we'll explore those options and see what we can come up with. But that'll definitely be a discussion with you guys as well. Since y'all are if y'all decide to do the permit, I think it's important that we are all work on this together and lay out the expectations of how this should go, and you know what guidelines we need to follow. So I think once we solidify who that person will be or that organization, we'll definitely have future meetings in regards to that.
Let me
Yes, sir.
ask you something else, and maybe you can answer the question better. individuals that are working behind the bar 7 years, do they have to be certified?
They do
From our
not,
knowledge, yes, TABC, everybody has to be certified.
And that's no different from the peanut festival? Because I
so
know
all
that,
of our workers, the majority of the nights I know are TABC certified. You
yeah,
do
but
need
I'm
to
talking
have-
about, now that the nights are not gonna do it. Anybody that steps foot behind that beer stand,
They would have to take their certification online. It's $20. Yes. 20 or 25. Last I checked, I think it was like $19.95 to get that TABC certification.
no, I would just mention it, so if
Oh,
it happens,
absolutely.
if it happens, to make sure that whoever's working that booth, whether the license is comes from somewhere else or,
We would require them to turn in the license before
To
we,
them, absolutely.
just to make sure we have on record for our license.
There should actually be a binder in that booth with a copy of our liability insurance. Every single person that's working in that booth, a copy of their license. That should all be kept in a binder in that booth so that if they come in to check us, we have that information readily available to those enforcement officers.
you know, again, I personally think it's gonna be very hard because you don't know how many people are gonna come. You might say that 500 people will come. Who's gonna monitor to make sure that there's no more than 500 people in this area?
Again, we're not there yet. If that's
Yeah.
what the case is and it's only 500, we clearly will not put on a
Yeah,
festival.
well,
For as
the
much
thing is-
money as we put out to have to put it on, that's not financially safe for us to do
Exactly,
that.
exactly.
So
And this
it's
is why-
definitely gonna have to be a big increase to be able, I mean, we have thousands of people flock to this community, second weekend in October. So it has to also be fair because we don't wanna turn people away.
Well-
This festival's about the community and about a family-friendly festival, so we have to make sure that we're within compliance.
The only thing, ma'am, is that this virus does not discriminate. You know,
Absolutely.
it's very hard, and you see and you hear in the news where when they have a big gathering of people, a big majority of them will come down with the virus within a few days, a week after, and so on. So we have to be very careful.
Absolutely. I do agree, and, us having this discussion now, once September comes, if we decide to reschedule, well, we still need the partnership with the permit, so we would be working with you guys on that. So that's why we're here now, just to see if we need to get the ball rolling on that, whether it's October, whether it's in the spring, whether it's a rescheduled date. I think now's the time to do that, so that we can get all of the information in front of us and look at the costs to make sure that we are covered, and that, everybody's comfortable in what we're doing.
Now, another thing, ma'am, on the license, okay? God forbid that something would happen. And they're gonna come after, the attorneys will come after those two names that we have on those licenses. After they get through with those two, they'll come before the board. Because everybody's out there to get a dollar, the lawsuits and so on. This is personally what I'm afraid of, okay? And they're not going to stop there. They go to the Peanut Festival Association, where there's money, they're going to come after.
So every
And-
festival kind of takes that risk. I mean,
Yes.
unfortunately, that's the
Yes.
nature of the
And,
beast.
no, and I'm referring to is the license, Whomever's name is on the license, plus the members that are in the organization and sponsoring that, and the workers and so on, and everybody is out there to make a dime off of us. So it's very touchy. It's very. I remember when we first started, we would get a temporary license, no problem. And I was wondering if the Peanut Festival could get a temporary license. I'm sure y'all could. Somebody from the organization could probably get a temporary license. And it's only for the 2 days, and then it's gone. Now, again, when you talk about that amount of people, and they're all drinking, having a good time, we've been very fortunate all these years. And God forbid if something bad would happen. But we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful.
And that's just a testament to our great servers that we've had over the years, that they have been responsible in being able to identify when someone has had enough. And, you know, that's a testament to the partnership we had with the Knights, that they have done a great job.
And this is one of the reasons I was asking about being certified to be behind that bar. You have to go to that school. I don't know whether it's 4 hours or 12 hours or, I don't know the amount of time. But you will have to have people that are trained, let's say, to work behind that beer counter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I think that is.
If I may, we're trying to do something.
She's asking, could you say something?
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to say to the board, I have been in contact with Courtney Kim too, and we have discussed going forward in October. We're at an agreement that they will notify the city as soon as they make a decision. So I think from the gist of what I'm hearing is that tonight is basically to see when or if they can use the beer license from the 4A. But I just wanted to make mention that the fact that we have been in contact about the possibility or the unlikelihood that it definitely will go on in October.
Okay. Commissioner, can you say, repeat what she said, because I could barely hear her.
Mayor, can you say it again? Mayor, they want you to repeat it again.
Okay, I just wanted to reaffirm to the board that I have been in contact with Courtney Kim through the Phoenix Festival Association about the likelihood or the unlikelihood of the festival going on in October. But the gist of what I'm getting from the meeting is that when the Phoenix Festival happens, whether it be in the fall or in the spring, that they're looking to use your 4A, your liquor license. So I just wanted to let the board know that I have been in contact with them. We have our discussion October.
Okay. Does anyone else have any comments?
Courtney.
Yes, sir.
I support the idea of having a partnership with the Phoenix Festival. I think you've seen my support for the past 15 years. But at this time, there are some things we need to work out if this is going to happen. We need to work out the liability for the beer. Tom is saying that
The additional insurance,
yes.
absolutely.
We also have to work out the material handling once a beer arrives.
Mhm. Having a point of contact to be able to coordinate with Ches and help him and.
Yes, and then also, like we talked the last time, the split between the city, or the Florida, I should say, and the Peanut Festival.
Okay.
And my thought is, the city has provided to the Peanut Festival thousands of dollars over the past 10 years, 10, 15 years. I see this as a long-term relationship with the Peanut Festival so we can recover some of those costs. So, not costs, I should say, but some of those donations to the Peanut Festival. So that's how I feel.
Any other comments? Okay, I'm ready to accept the motion if anyone chooses to make one.
I so move that we go forward to for the beer license at an unknown date at this time for the Peanut Festival.
We have a motion. We have a second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
As far as the insurance is concerned, like Mr. Caldwell was discussing, send him, Mr. Tejada, that would be awesome to partner with, for, years to come as a partnership, where, like he's saying, both can, benefit from this. But like Mr. Caldwell was saying, it is smart to, for the insurance purposes, is that going to be covered? Like say, like Mr. Ghana is saying, something does happen, God forbid it don't, but if something does happen, we don't want to be on the hook for that. So is there gonna be insurance, something in paper, in other words, saying that we won't be covered, or?
So what we'll have to do is work with your attorney here on that additional insurance that he's trying to obtain for the liquor side of it. We carry a general liability, so we would just have to be in discussions. We work with Wizzy Bell. I'm not sure who y'all work with, but we can get with Doug Shoemaker and just start those discussions to make sure that we have all our questions answered. Because at the end of the day, I do want y'all to all feel comfortable in going into partnership with us. I don't want there to be any stone left unturned, any question not answered. We want to make sure we're all confident in what we're doing when we decide to move forward.
Yeah, and in addition to that, Dusty, last year we also added the nights as additional insured to our policy, which was something new that we did as well. So whoever it is that's going to be manning the booths would also be covered under our
that
insurance
GI
policy, on top of what Mr. Caldwell is referring to as well, so that all parties are covered.
And that's the main thing, making sure everybody's covered.
Absolutely.
And then another thing, like Ched's not having to spend the whole
Sure.
the whole Peanut Festival out there like last year. I mean, he does have a family also wants to,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure wanted to enjoy it with his family, from the
And
town
we
he's
didn't
from
know
and stuff
last
like
year,
that.
so it's good to get that feedback so that we have plenty, we've got an entire association of volunteers that we can definitely utilize to do that, so.
Any further discussion? If not, then, would you restate your motion, please?
I move that we go ahead and establish a partnership with the Peanut Festival for a festival that's going to be at an unknown date at this time, but with some stipulations that we work out the material handling aspect. We look at the coverage for liability. We also look at the revenue and expense and how we're going to split that, and a financial partnership. What else?
In other words, those things would
That's all I got.
Insurance, all that stuff will be ironed out, in other
that would
words,
have to be in place.
Yes, before we move forward, yes.
before moving forward.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Second.
Ms. Esquivel seconded it.
Yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed?
What was that? I know it's up to
Mr. Down,
I still have to kind of,
Are you abstaining?
Yeah, I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining? Okay, just for reason we will vote aye.
You get a thing to do tonight.
If all those things are in place. Okay, we have voted to enter agreement with you, as long as the things that he mentioned were in place, the insurance, working it out with the city, and all that stuff has to be in place,
No, absolutely.
okay?
Who would be our primary contact that we would be working with on this?
We will have our attorney work up an agreement with you
Great.
and put those stipulations in the agreement.
Last year, I was working with Doug,
Yes.
but it was literally
Last minute.
last minute.
Yeah.
We could not get it done.
Yep.
But Doug's already aware of kind of what
Perfect.
we're doing.
Yep, that's great. And then Chez, we'll be getting with you too, because we'd like to sit down to get some more information about how we can make it easier on you.
Okay.
And then would we need to let, Tom, would we need to let you know in the 4A know who we decide will be manning it so that we're all in agreement?
Oh, yes, we're gonna have many more discussions after this. We'll
Yeah.
have to have some planning meetings to
But I
get
mean,
together.
that would have to be before we are able to accomplish what Mr. Tejada is saying, is what I'm saying.
Before we have a say,
Yeah.
The key is notice.
Sure.
We want to
Yes.
have as much timing as possible
Absolutely.
Yeah.
for all parties, so the
I would just like
preparation
to,
is.
that the board to consider, if we're gonna put our license in it, that we just handle it ourselves.
That's another
Just
thing too. We'll handle the
consideration
site.
of what do you think about.
When y'all have these meetings, the board, I'll go ahead and notify the board and possibly board representatives might attend as well.
That would be great.
That would be my suggestion. And Chad's.
And if we continue these meetings, if we continue doing this past this year, I think it'd be a very good idea for us to have a member on the board.
I'll
So we
definitely
would
do
know
that.
what's going on and be able to plan there too.
And same for us. If there is a representative that wants to come serve on our board to be that liaison, we would definitely welcome whoever might be able to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Sorry, board members, we have another meeting at 6 o'clock for a budget. If y'all would please hang around for that. We have that's included in this agenda, so we don't have to reconvene or anything like that. Okay.
5:33.
I would recommend we adjourn this one and then reopen the meeting.
Okay. We're going to, upon advice from our council, we're going to temporarily adjourn and reconvene at 6 o'clock. Is that okay, Ms. Turner?
Okay, thank you. I'll be joining you.